Hello, it's Russ from YumDM. Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to my first session, session one, of the Caves of Conflict game. You can see my characters are all sort of ready on the map. I'll zoom out of here because this is my take. The Caves of Conflict is my take of the Caves of Chaos from B2. So. I'll be exploring all these rooms and caverns, and the outside of obviously with my characters that I've just sort of just got on the screen there. There are actually just off the screen, sort of bunkering down behind another sort of shrub just off camera. But I thought for all intents and purposes, I'll put them just on the edge of the map there. Saves me sort of dragging them on. Um, And so, what the characters actually have a map of these. I've sort of made it as though, many characters and parties have explored these caves over the years, and the original sort of inhabitants have either been slain or run off, and these caves have laid dormant for a little while, and the mayor of the town that the PCs are staying in, Dusseldorf, which is sort of to the southeast of these caves. Um, he has asked the PCs. He wants to. The town of Dusseldorf is growing, and he wants to sort of secure the different areas around it. Being sort of a good mayor that he is, or mayor as he is, um, he wants to secure the areas around it, make sure there's no sort of, layers of monsters that could potentially, even later on, grow to the point of starting a war. So as is pretty fairly common in the freelands where this game is set in my home campaign world of um, Athea, the sorry, I lost my train of thought. The the governments and churches and other institutions hire adventurers to explore different regions that are fairly dangerous or potentially dangerous, and then they pay them a stipend, and the party can generally sort of keep what they find in the areas that they're exploring. So this party is no difference. They've done some work, some exploratory work with the town before, but only sort of just to the eastern hills, not very far away. And that was quite successful, fairly uneventful, but quite successful enough for the mayor or the mayor to trust them in these exploring these caves. Now, what I'm going to do in these is I'm going to so all I don't know what's inside the cave. So I've got the map that was given to the characters, the office of mayor, and but I don't know what's in here, if anything. So, well, I mean, obviously, there's probably going to be some stuff in here. The characters have just arrived. That it was about a 2 day journey. They had a couple of encounters, one with a giant snake, which luckily for them missed its first surprise attack on one of the party members, and the cleric ended up blinding it, and it lost a morale check and slithered off. Just figure out why it couldn't see for. Actually, now that I'm just thinking of that, snakes usually, um, yeah, their eyesight's not that great. I think they usually use vibrations. So I didn't really think of that. But anyway, um, so they have arrived. They also met the last encounter was they met some pilgrims that were lost. But unfortunately, for the PCs, the ranger and another character was scouting around for an area for a camp, and sort of just outside of this sort of valley cave entrance, and they came across these pilgrims, and the pilgrims unfortunately were attacked, unbeknownst to the PCs, by a Penagellon who befriended them, and and then that night basically took to them in great horror as the head and the intestines was ripped from the body that she was pretending to be, and proceeded to feed on them. So they were paranoid about meeting anyone else because they thought the PCs might have been another one of these creatures. Um, and so the PCs just kind of went, you know what, we've got a job to do. We'll let them go. So those pilgrims are probably going to die at some point very soon, but that means that around this area there is a Panagellon on the loose. So not and the PCs don't know that. So anyway, so the PCs that I'm taking in, I'll just zoom in here a bit more just so I can get into the PCs. Oh, this program that I'm using is called Sojaw. And it's specifically built for solo games online. I don't particularly like playing games online, like solo games online, but I'm going to give it a go because I've been tinkering with this program. I'm nowhere near an expert because there's a couple of things I don't quite understand. But the basics of the program is pretty good. And I recommend getting it. It's a set price. There's no ongoing costs, and he updates probably monthly. So so it's really cool. I think it was only like 10, $15. It was pretty cheap. But anyway, I'm going to give it a run. So these are my characters. I've got the map, which is basically just a scan of the Caves of Chaos. So sorry if it gets a bit blurry when I zoom in here. But these are the characters, and there's 8 main characters, all in like the blue outline. And then there's the 2 green ones are the NPCs. So they're the henchmen of the characters. So um, should mouse over. Where is it? Oh yeah, Raul has Carlos as the 2 NPCs are fighters, Zeb and Carlos. Raul, who is a shaman, he's got a bodyguard of sorts, and Athok, who is the highest level character at 3rd, and a cleric of Lucinda. Now, Lucinda is the one of the main gods in my world, and she is the god of basically sort of fire, the sun, um, you know, uh, reinvigoration. So she's a good god and one of the main gods, one of the more popular gods in the world. And poor old Athic got injured quite severely, and he got, I believe it was he mauled by prairie dogs was his last injury. I use an injury system where characters actually can get scarred quite badly from if they drop to 0, they make a death save. If that fails, they're dead, or save versus death, and because I'm using OSE. Um, if they survive that roll, if they make that saving throw, then they're alive, they're out of it, um, and they have an injury, and they've got to roll on an injury table, which is one of the issues of my zine. So, and he got a huge claw down the face, so much so that one of his eyes, his eyelid is half closed, and his charisma dropped to 4, which is only, it sounds really bad, but it's only a -1. So and surprisingly, he has a henchman. Um, Zeb doesn't mind that. And quite a beefy henchman. I rolled stats. Zeb has a strength of 18, which is pretty cool for a henchman. But anyway, so yeah, Athok is the cleric. Um, he's the highest level, so most of the characters are level 1. with a bit of experience, a mixed because I don't use every character for every game session, and um, so they let me just hang on, let me just fix this up because I've got a timer going, just so I don't sort of run too long on these. I sort of want to keep them around about half an hour. So anyway, but I do want to get into the adventure. So the situation is the PCs have come to to the caves to sort of scout them out, and they've been sort of cautiously scouting out, led by Kinniston, which is the ranger of the group who acts as the scout. Um, I'll quickly run through the PCs. We've got Athok, who is the cleric I just mentioned. There's Adala, who is the fighter. We've got Haldar, which is where's Haldar? No, Haldar here. I'm still getting used to the pictures. Sorry about that. That's the problem you have when you have 8 PCs. Um, he's a magic user. Lothar, which is where's Lothar? Lothar, there we are. He is a thief. Of course he is. Gal, which was down here. Gal is a dwarven shaman. Now, the dwarven shamans, they use their ancestor spirits. They talk to them and they get powers. Very similar to a sort of cleric. So they channel the cleric's spells through there, and that class is actually in one of my zines as well. So I'll put all these links. Hopefully, I'll remember. I'll put them in down below. Um, then we've got Raal, who I've mentioned before. He's a human shaman. So he actually, instead of ancestor, because the dwarves call on their ancestors because they have ancestor worship. He calls on Raal calls on spirits to give him his powers, and he is actually second level. And then we've got a fighter magic user, Sandari, who is there. Um, he also has been he's got a grievous wound. He's been hobbled. His speed is only 15 feet, so he's pretty slow. He actually got hobbled by an orc carver, which is a special weapon that orcs use, and they cause grievous wounds. So he unfortunately had half moved permanently from that injury. And he did have a henchman, but unfortunately, Arnfin, who was a fighter, died fairly recently, so he hasn't got anything at the moment. He does have 18 strength though, which is pretty incredible. His rest of his stats are very average. He's got 18, 10, 10, 10, 9, 12. So yeah, but he's got, he's all right. He can hold his own. He hits pretty hard, so that's all good. And then finally Kinniston, the Ranger, who will be front and center. And he's just first level. I think he's due to go up soon. Oh, no, he's not actually. No, he's far off it. Needs about another 2000 XP. Um, okay, so what has happened is that the PCs have left their camp. Now, the camp is being guarded, I believe, by 8 mercenaries, actually 7 mercenaries now, because the the PCs unfortunately came to a pond on their way here and were attacked by three giant water spiders who leaped out of the pond. And the longbowman, unfortunately, was the longbowman, got pulled into the pond, never to be seen again. They did manage to kill the other two, but not before a horse was poisoned. Um, but so there's 7 mercenaries, and yeah, that's it. 7 mercenaries guarding the camp, which the ranger found. He failed his role. I made a roll for him to on his what was it? It was his hide in wilderness role, I believe. And he failed that, but he found an okay spot. But I was going to say if he succeeded, he was going to find like a really good spot that wasn't obvious. But he's found an okay spot. So they're guarding that encampment. So if the PCs are away for too long, those mercenaries may have to fend off random encounters because I will be rolling random encounters for them. So, but it might only be a 1 in 6 chance or something like that, or maybe even a 1 in 8, but we'll see. Okay, so these guys have come here. Now, these guys are sort of at the back, besides Kynaston, are sort of high, crouching sort of down behind some bushes, similar to these up here. And Kynaston has decided that they can see, so they can see at this current, they can obviously see the cave in D. E's hidden, A's hidden from their sort of their vantage point at the moment. They'd be able to see B up higher, C probably up higher, H is probably hidden, G is hidden. So their obvious target at this point is either B or D. Climbing up that sort of incline. One of the cool things you can actually do with this map is incline it like that. So it kind of gives you a flatter view. I don't know. Let me know if you guys prefer this view, or just the regular sort of top-down view. I think this view is pretty funky, but it might get a bit annoying. So anyway, we'll keep it on the top-down view at the moment, and we'll zoom in a bit because we're interested in D. However, Kynaston wants to sort of come up here and check out what's down here as well because he doesn't want to be surprised by anything. And therefore, he'll probably end up seeing A and perhaps E, but we'll give him a roll on that anyway. So what I'll do is I'll move Kynaston up. So he can move 30 feet. So so this calculates 30 feet, but because he's not attacking or anything, he can move 60. So he can move up to here and sort of stay hidden in the bushes, which is what he wants to do. So he'll move up to there. So we'll zoom in on Kynaston for a moment. We'll let the others go. So he can still see D. He can't see any movement there. I'm going to see if he's got a chance of seeing E. So what I'm going to do, the first roll of the game. So I'm going to, I'll just get my dice are ready, but they're in a sort of an awkward spot. So anyway, so we'll roll. I'm going to give him his. He might actually roll his tracking chance because things are going to be coming in and out. So he's got a 20% tracking chance to see obvious tracks are going to show up, but this is to see if someone's been hiding or cautiously, or maybe older tracks. So that'll be his first roll as he looks around on the ground. Whoops. And he gets 11. He does it. So he is aware. So in solo, obviously, I don't know what tracks are here because I haven't rolled to see what monsters are in these caves yet. Okay. So, because I haven't been in them. So, what I do in the solo game is now I go, okay, I'll remember he's made his tracking roll. So, if um, he will understand what's there. I won't know now. He knows now what creatures are around. And so he will have a less chance of being surprised, or he might be able to win initiative when he encounters them because he'll be expecting that particular foe. So we'll keep that in mind. And so now he's going to make a wisdom check. So he has to roll, his wisdom is 14. He's going to have to roll equal to or under that to spot E cave, but it's because it's forested and it's kind of quite hard to. I'm assuming these aren't going to be really thick, but so it's going to be. I'm going to say, it's going to be -4. So he's only got a 50% chance. So I've rolled the 20. If he rolls 10 or less, he has spotted the cave. Six. So he's doing well. Kinniston's on fire today. So he spotted this cave, and he also automatically spotted a cave. There are some scrubs around, shrubs and stuff around there, but it's sort of a clear line of sight pretty much to there. So I'm going to say he's seen A, he's now seen E. They know D's there. They also know B's up here. And I'm going to actually say he can actually see C as well. So there's a few options for them now. And he's going to sort of retreat back to to his friends. And they're going to have a sort of a huddle behind the scrub they're hiding behind. So I think even though he's seen these other caves, my inclination would be to go to the closest one, would be to D. I think that sort of makes the most sense. They can see that with the map, so as they look at them, look at their map, they can see that it connects to E, so they can check that out as well. Um, and there's a few passageways and rooms to check out, but I think if even if they check out sort of maybe 13, 17, and 23, that will give them you know enough to sort of do a first foray into these caves because they don't know what to expect. Although, having said that, Kynaston now knows what to expect because he noticed some tracks there. So he was able to pick up. Actually, what I'll do, and I have another. Um, I know I've got a zine, and it's the wilderness issue, which I think is number 7. And I have that here. So what I'm going to do is roll. That's it there. So um, it's got a tracking info. So what you do is here we go, tracks and tracking. So it gives you a bit more info about it. So for each 3 points you succeed in your tracking check, you can glean one more piece of information from a list. So the information gained is type of creature, number of creatures, size of creatures, speed of creatures, recency of trail, and condition of creatures in that order. So he rolled, I believe, what did he roll? A 4? So maybe 2. So he gets the type of creature and the number of creatures. So he knows what type of creature they are, or creatures, and also the rough number of them. So that's some good information that he can have. So let's have a look at our PC. So again, I'm going to send Kynaston up to suss out the cave. So he's going to move up, but what I might do is sort of move the party so as they do, um, maybe move him there, and then we'll split these guys off here, and then these guys can sort of come down here. We'll move. Oops. I think that continues, so that's pretty cool. And then we'll put Sandari up here. So that's them sort of making their way. So they're sort of crouching down, running up to the area, sort of keeping close to this foliage, and these guys are keeping close to this hill line. So Sandari is actually going. I mean, sorry, the Kynaston is actually going to look in and see these sort of passageways. So he's got the map at the moment. So I might make a note of that because if something happens to him, caves of conflict map. Okay, so he is armed at the moment with his short bow. So he's got a bow. He wasn't expecting anything to sort of jump out of him. Now that he's in the about to head in, he's actually gonna reconsider that, and he's going to change to his hand axe, which is his sort of melee weapon. Let's see, where's my? So I've just sort of noted on his character sheet that he's carrying his hand axe instead. The good thing about hand axe is obviously you can fight with it with melee, or you can throw it. So he's got a choice here, and he's got two of them on him. Um, so that's good. So uh, let's see if so he's gonna move in and take up a sort of position there and look around. He's going to actually sneak up to there cautiously and look down into 17 and then look down this passage. So this passage he can't really see much. He can see this is a dead end, and there's not much there, but he actually he's human, so he can there's light coming in because this is the morning. He spent a bit of time very early this morning from cat hunting, but he was unsuccessful, unfortunately. They got here probably about midday, not midday, sorry, mid-morning. So it's quite bright. The sun's fairly high in the sky and it's shining light into here. So I would say it's probably still dim light where he's looking. So he hasn't lit anything yet. But there would be enough light, I would say, to be able to see if there's any shadowy movement down here or here or here. He can't see anything this way. He can't see anything this way. But room 17, now that he knows there's tracks, so he might have followed those tracks depending if anything is in here. So what I do now is get my handy chart. And for this, I use a just a little cheat sheet there. Um, and what I do is it's from D&D third edition and it allows you to understand what are in chambers and rooms. So it's a percentile roll. I have altered it quite a bit over the time, but it basically represents the all. It's the same as the one that very similar to the one in third edition DMD DMSG. Okay, so I'm making the roll. So O5. So the result is just a monster. So there is a monster there, but nothing else. So other things that you could have would be treasure, hidden treasure, features, traps, obviously monsters, and different combinations of those two. So you could have a monster and a feature, a monster and a hidden treasure, a monster and a trap, but they've just rolled a straight monster, which um, is interesting. So now we have to roll to see what it is. Now I'm going to assume that whatever it is that they're the tracks that Kynaston saw outside there. So for this, I'm actually going to use, and you can travel along at home. Hopefully you can see this chart. So this is from the Old School Essentials Advanced Referee's Guide, I think they call it. And I'm going to be using these for the encounters. So we're on level 1 still, even though a couple of the characters, well, one's level 3rd and two are level 2, because it still averages out to be a first level um, encounter. There is quite a few PCs. Like I've got 8 PCs with 2 henchmen. The henchmen don't count towards the overall numbers, but 8 is it's very old school to have that many. Usually you would have half that in a sort of more modern game, but I'm comfortable with just doing first level now. I think what I'll do is I'll up the levels depending on the cave, kind of what they did in the module. So I've still got to work that out, but for now, Cave D is a level 1 sort of dungeon. So now what I've got to do on this chart is roll a D4. Now I have a story about the D4. Unfortunately, I lost a D4, my funky D4, which was an odd shape, rolling it off a balcony into the garden, and I was never seen again. So I have to roll one of the more original D4s, the ones that if you step on, you'll end up in the hospital. So a D4 I've got to roll and a D10. So let's roll that. And I get a 1 and a 2. So 1 and 2 are fire beetles. Okay, the classic fire beetles. So they are the tracks that Kynaston saw. So now this is all coming together now. Kynaston saw that there was some fire beetle tracks. Obviously, they use this cavern as a nest, probably, and then they go out to hunt and they go through that main entrance. Um, if I can get back to the map, so they've come here. Maybe they bored this little tunnel here. They've come out and they hunt at night, probably for any like bugs or grubs or whatever they eat, rats, giant rats, whatever. But we have to roll for how many there are. So there is D8. So let's roll that. And I roll a 4. So we've got 4 giant fire beetles. Now, Kinnison would probably be happy with that because fire beetles, as you probably know, give off light, and you can use them, whoops, for uh, for um, for light. So this will be good. The characters might not have to use up their torches and lantern oil. It also means that he can see a bit more down there because there'll be this sort of red glow, sort of sort of all over the cavern and up the passageway. And he's not surprised by this because he followed their tracks in and he knew exactly what there were and how many there were. So he's just going to sneak there. These guys are actually going to come up um, and sort of go either side of the entrance. There. Um, these guys will come down here. I think he'll go there. He might go down here behind, and his trusty henchman will go behind him. And then we'll bring these guys sort of maybe in here, and then she'll be ready with a bow shot. So, um, yeah. So Kiniston sort of does a bit of a noise, like a little whistle. The party's sort of getting used to his sort of ranger and scout noises, and the like. So, um, the ranger will move now. Now that he sees these guys at range, he's actually thinking he might get out his bow again. So he's going to grab his short bow, put away his axe, grab his short bow, and move up stealthily to this point here. So what I do for stealth is I don't roll the stealth roll until it's needed. So I could roll stealth now and I would know if he's passed or failed. Okay, which gives me an unfair advantage. So I don't actually call the stealth roll until one of the creatures or whoever he's hiding from um, actually has a chance to spot them. And then I roll the sneak roll to see if he's actually been hit it or not. It's just a good little tool or way of doing things that you can use in solo gaming. Oh, sorry about that. He slurped that. Okay, so he's going to move down, and that whistle that he sort of did was calling the others in. So he's going to move up to here. He is moving stealth, so he can move half his movement. Actually, that was 20 feet, yeah. So he can actually only move 15 stealthily. So he could get there, what, sort of there, couldn't he? Yeah, I think he'll just move there and move against the wall. Um, now, Athok will go next. He'll go in. Athok's a bit of a brave one. Actually, I should see how far this is because, well, I mean, he can move 25 feet. Because he's in chainmail. So I think huh? Um, yeah, okay. I don't know why he's got 25 feet. Okay, well, he moves 25 feet, and we'll figure that out later. There is a reason. He's probably got injured or something. One, two, so that's sort of 10 feet to there, and then 15. So he could get there. He's just going to stay there, and his trusty companion is going to go up behind him. I think what I'll do, see, I don't know what's down here, so I don't want to put too many people there. Um, I think what I'll do, I think Garl will come down to there, so that's five, and then down to Garl is a dwarf, so his movement is a little bit less, is 20. So he's done five, so he can from there he can do 15. I'll say he can just get there. Um, and then these guys, I don't want to sort of bunch up too much. So I think I'll just pull these guys down. I think I'll put a Dala there. She's got a longbow from memory. And she's a pretty good shot. Oh no, no, my memory is shot. She has a sword and a spear. What made me think she had a? I know she's got because she's got a large shield, of course. Um, Yeah, she's the straight fighter. I'd probably be thinking of something else. So she's going to come in as well, and then Lothar and Sendari. Oh, Sendari is the one I'm thinking of, I think. Sorry. Um, Sendari is she's the fighter magic user with a longbow. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Sorry, I got those two characters mixed up. So what I might do, I'll put her there, and then I'll put Sandari sort of behind her to get ready with the shot from behind. Now, I'm going to roll surprise. So Kiniston is not surprised by these creatures. These guys might be, but I'm not going to roll that just yet. But I will roll the Kinistons, right? So because if these guys are surprised, the beetles, I mean, they can yeah, Kinnison can get a stealth, like his stealth will work automatically, unless he's really noisy. So what I'll do now, I need some miniatures for these. Okay, so what I've done, I just in the interim, I have added four fire beetles. I don't know if I've done this correctly, but um, that's the way that I sort of found to do it. So there's four fire beetles. By the way, these red markers are hit points, and they go up and down. So you can see that as it goes down. Um, so that tells me what health they have. So these fire beetles have 6 hit points each. Um, And now there is a chance. So I want to see if these fire beetles are actually surprised. So that is a one and two on a D6. So I'll roll that, and it's a five. So they're not surprised. So Kinnison will still need to roll his stealth roll, and if he wants to get probably any closer than that. These fire beetles are probably actually I can find out what these fire beetles are actually doing at the moment in another zine that I issue. Issue one, in fact, I have a whole a table. So that's issue one, which is the just issue one. I didn't call it anything because it was the first issue, I guess, or second issue because issue zero was the first issue. But anyway, there's a table in here saying what the hell are the monsters doing. So at the time when they're encountered, they're not just sitting there waiting to be encountered. They're going to be doing something. So this is an actual D12 roll, my trusty D12. So they are resting, sleeping, or recreation. So they're probably resting. Maybe they went out last night, had a feed early this morning, and are just resting. Which means that Kiniston probably can um, probably get a bonus to sneaking up on them because they're resting and they're sleeping. They're not expecting anyone to attack them. If that's what the party wants to do. I mean, they could just leave this. They know that there's some stairs up further to another area. So if they want to get past this, they need to do this. Um, So what I'll do is I'll quickly just because the time's ticking away. So what I'll do is I'll get everyone in position, and then next session I'll do the attack. So what I'll do is move Kiniston um, to there this round. So he's moved 10 feet. This is at the point where he's probably going to roll stealth. So Kiniston has a look, it's a hide and wilderness. Um, whether should give that to him. Maybe I'll just do. I mean, it's a 2 and 6. I'm going to give him a 3 and 6 because these guys are sleeping. So um, I'll say it's a 1 in 6 chance because that's what the normal chance is if you don't have a particular skill. But he gets +2 because they are sort of resting and sleeping. So he rolls a 6, unfortunately. So he is not stealthy. One of these creatures, maybe this one, pokes its head up and goes, yeah, nah, I see you, I hear you there. Um, Kiniston also does another sort of sign to these guys to sort of move down as he moves in there. So Athok will move in quickly. So he's going to go one. So that's down to now. Athok can move 25. So he can get there. So he's actually going to go in there and engage that one. Um, he's followed by Zeb, who can get to there easily, and Gal will actually probably stay there. He's worried about the noise and everything of this potential combat, so he's going to stay there and make sure nothing comes from area 18. Adala will come to there. Um, I think Raal and Carlos, his henchman, will stay behind. Lothar wants to come in. Um, Sandari will come in, and then the thief, Haldor, will actually probably go down to here, I think, and sort of try and hide there. So, um, we have a situation now where Athok is going to try and strike this one, move in, hopefully, if he kills it. So Zeb and Kiniston can move in, Adala can move in with a bow shot, and then these other guys can sort of move down. That's the trouble with so many party members is that you sort of get this backlog, especially with these. That's one thing I actually forgot to mention. I know in the module these squares are actually 10 foot because the map and the sizing of the program is what it is. The figures were just too small. I couldn't move them around and have them appear like this. They were just half the size. So what I did was I made every square 5 foot, and I kind of tend to work in that anyway. So in my version of the Caves of Chaos, which is Caves of Conflict, each square is only 5 feet wide. So that's probably something I should have mentioned at the beginning, but that's kind of limits of the software and the map. I just didn't want to have to zoom in like right in to see them. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. The next session will be full on combat. So I will see you. This is Russ from YumDM signing off for now. Wait in a few days. I'm not too sure how often I'm going to put these up. Depends how often I guess I can get them done. So signing off for now, but please join me next session where we'll be fighting some fire beetles and hopefully getting their glands to light up the rest of the caves. As always, happy gaming.